Horror movies can create a variety of reactions in the audience. Fright, revulsion,
that's disgusting,
terror, but also just creepiness. That feeling when something is familiar but not quite right. Unnatural, off, wrong.
Meow?
This effect can be explained with a theory called the Uncanny Valley. And filmmakers like Stanley Kubrick, John Carpenter, and James Wan have used this phenomenon to great effect. But this theory didn't actually originate in cinema. The term Uncanny Valley was coined in 1970 by Japanese roboticist Masahiro Mori. Mori noticed that as robots became more human-like, people responded positively, up to a point. When robots became nearly human, they suddenly provoked discomfort, even revulsion. This dip in emotional response is what Mori called the Uncanny Valley. Psychologists believe that this discomfort stems from cognitive dissonance. Our minds are wired to recognize and empathize with human faces. But when something looks human, yet lacks the essential subtleties of a real person, our brains register it as wrong. We feel unease because we instinctually detect potential threats. And things that are almost human, but not quite, tap into that primal instinct. Remember that this is only a theory, and that means it is completely subjective. What you may find disturbing could be laughable to someone else. And where each of these upcoming examples actually falls within the valley is up for debate.
I thought you might turn up.
Now, there are many ways to manifest this effect in cinema, both intentionally and unintentionally. If you've seen poorly done CGI of what are meant to be realistic humans, it can be difficult to pull off successfully, and we find ourselves in the Uncanny Valley by accident. But when it is done purposefully, it can be quite effective. Science fiction has put Mori's theory to the test in movies like The Terminator, Ex Machina, and Blade Runner. But the horror genre has thrived in it. Horror movies often deal with monsters like the Gwemu from The Host, which are certainly terrifying. But how is it that a pair of innocent-looking twins at the end of a hallway can be just as frightening?
Hello, Danny.
They look like children, and we expect them to be innocent and harmless. So, all it takes is for that child to suggest some evil within. Cognitive dissonance, Uncanny Valley.
Come and play with us, Danny. Forever and ever.
Characters in masks are a great way to create threats that are both familiar and threatening. Think of The Purge, Alice, Sweet Alice, or Onibaba. Similar to Mori's robots, creepy dolls are often found in the valley. Megan is a great example of his theory in action. But there has been an entire subgenre in this vein for decades.
My name is Talkie Tina, and I'm beginning to hate you.
Films included in this subgenre are Dead Silence, Annabelle, and Child's Play.
Give me the power, I beg of you!
If you think about it, both masks and dolls disrupt our sense of humanity in the same area, the eyes. Faces can be made realistic, but eyes are nearly impossible to get right. This is why Michael Myers is such an incredibly disturbing threat. The body is clearly human, the face is familiar but lifeless. And when we're unable to see his eyes, he lacks any sense of humanity. He's just an empty shell, a killing machine.
The blackest eyes, the devil's eyes.
As Shakespeare said, the eyes are the window to the soul.
They like you.
No eyes, no soul.
What have you done to its eyes?
He has his father's eyes.
But the opposite can also be true. There are examples where the eyes are the only thing we see, and it is equally disturbing. Think of the half-mask worn by Hannibal Lecter and the intensity of his piercing gaze. Perhaps the best example of this is the aptly named Eyes Without a Face. Christiane's mask is nearly human, but it remains frozen, leaving only her haunting eyes. But we don't need a mask to access the Uncanny Valley. In fact, Mori extended his theory to go beyond appearances. Movement is also a determining factor. Mori added a second layer to his graph that shows how movement amplifies the highs and lows. As you can see on the graph, a corpse already falls in the negative affinity zone. But if that corpse were to start moving, as a zombie perhaps, our affinity drops even more. So, lifeless things like robots and corpses moving like humans are a surefire way to the Uncanny Valley. But we can also look at the speed of movement. For example, Mori talks about a robot who is programmed to smile. It has the same 29 pairs of artificial muscles as people do, but if the speed at which the smile is performed doesn't match a normal human smile, it turns creepy.
Smile.
And how many slow, creepy smiles have we seen in the horror genre? Countless. An unnatural smile is just one of many behaviors that can evoke uncanniness. What has made Invasion of the Body Snatchers so effective over the years is that the pod people look 100% like us, and yet there's something inhuman about them. In John Carpenter's remake of The Thing, the monster is grotesque, but its ability to perfectly copy us physically and behaviorally is what makes it truly terrifying.
We're gonna draw a little bit of everybody's blood, because we're gonna find out who's the thing.
Possession movies are a similar entry point into the Uncanny Valley. The Exorcist shows us a little girl, but the way she moves and speaks is not only inhuman, it's the stuff of nightmares. Beyond her disturbing appearance, the change in voice creates its own layer of cognitive dissonance.
You killed your mother! Your servant! You left her alone to die! Shut up!
We see Reagan, but we hear someone else. Or something else.
Your mother's in here with his cars. Would you like to leave a message? I see that she gets it.
Mori concludes his essay with a suggestion. We should begin to build an accurate map of the Uncanny Valley, so that through robotics research, we can come to understand what makes us human. This map is also necessary to enable us to create, using non-human designs, devices to which people can relate to comfortably. We couldn't agree more, but let's also agree to continue making our horror movies uncomfortable. Until next time, we'll see you in the valley.
I think we're in the valley. The Uncanny Valley.
The what?
Do you remember that weird animation style in the early 2000s where everything looked real but nothing looked right?
Oh, yeah. That stuff was creepy.
Well, I think this is where they ended up.